Cruise ship arrivals are on the increase. The finance minister says the consolidation tax is on track to meet the budgetary goals. And in sports, the West Indies do battle against India in the deciding one-day international.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Michelle Arthur with the Tuesday, November 26th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, cruise ship arrivals to Barbados are up 6%. This is according to Tourism Minister Richard Seeley. He was speaking during the inaugural visit of the MSC musical to the Bridgetown port today. The cruise ship has the capacity to carry 3,000 passengers, and Minister Seeley is hoping that this will add to Barbados' complement of cruise passengers in that sector, which is experiencing somewhat of a boost this season.
And we will be seeing just under 700,000 passengers for calendar 2013, which is 6% up on last year. Cruise has actually been doing extremely well, but we don't often talk about it. And for those skeptics who often make the point that cruisers don't spend as much as the long-stay visitors, you should consider that of that 700,000, just under 140,000 are persons who will be home porting from Barbados. So they will be cruising as well as having a hotel component.
He also praised the local port officials for getting the mammoth cruise ship to dock safely at the Bridgetown port. The vessel carries several dining areas and has a wide range of activities for passengers, including children. Services also include salons and a spa, and their nightly activities, including a disco and several bars. Mr. Seeley believes the Caribbean has more to offer than just a port of call and wants to see more opportunities opening up for locals to work on board the cruise ships.
I would think that the Barbadians and St. Lucians and Vincentians and so on, they too can get a piece of the action. And I'm happy to hear that the MSC line is taking the very progressive view of actively recruiting here in Barbados and elsewhere in the Caribbean.
Mr. Seeley, who's been having extensive discussions with the cruise line, is also hoping that the MSC musical will be open to home porting in Barbados from next year.
When I was at the FCCA meetings in Cartagena and meeting with the planners, we spoke about possibly having MSC vessels home port here in Barbados, and that is ultimately what we would like to see, because the cruise line is growing. There's a lot of capacity at the moment in terms of the company to increase the size of the cruise lines, and we would like to think that as they grow, the relationship with Barbados can continue to grow.
It's day 6 of the industrial action taken by workers at the Barbados Water Authority, and the 5 o'clock deadline for the management of the Barbados Water Authority to respond in writing to the demands of the Barbados Workers Union or face escalated action has expired. BWU General Secretary Sir Roy Trotman issued the ultimatum yesterday. CBC Shane Seeley joins us live now. Shane, you were at the BWU headquarters this evening and then you went to the Labour Department at Warren's. What can you piece together?
Well, I can tell you that at this hour, BWU General Secretary Sir Roy Trotman is locked in a meeting, and not to meet with the Executive Council of the BWU, but with top officials at the Labour Department and management at the BWA at the Warren's office complex. Now, it's an apparent last-ditch attempt to stave off heightened industrial action by the union on behalf of BWA workers. Now, the specifics about the meeting have so far not been made public. All we know is that the meeting was urgently called today in the lead up to that 5 o'clock deadline set by Sir Roy Trotman. And that's when BWA management was to hand in a proposal in writing in response to the demands made by the union. Now, the main issue being increments for workers. Those increments have been outstanding since 2006. Also at this hour, members of the BWU Executive Council are awaiting word from Sir Roy at Solidarity House. Now, when he emerges from the meeting at the Labour Department at Warren's, he's expected to head to the BWU headquarters to update the membership about the latest developments, Michelle.
Okay, thank you very much, Shane. Scores of workers at the Land Tax Department should be moving into new offices shortly. This disclosure from Home Affairs Minister Adriel Brathwaite in the lower house as the chamber debating an amendment to the consolidation tax. His comments came as over 100 workers remained off the job for a second straight day, protesting insanitary working conditions.
We recognize that they need to move. We have set a plan in place for them to move. And they know that we've been saying that so that in fact that we need to get their furniture in place. That in fact the furniture has been ordered from outside of Barbados. The furniture I believe is scheduled to be here at the end of the month, and that we will move them. This administration has shown more interest in providing proper facilities for public officers than that one for 40 years.
Police and fire officials are probing a fire at Portville Sugar Factory in St. James. The fire started just after 5 o'clock this afternoon, and 3 fire tenders from Probin Street, Arch Hall and Weston responded to the blaze under the command of Acting Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard. Reports are that by 6 o'clock the blaze had been brought under control. Portville is currently the only sugar factory that's operational in Barbados, given that its sister factory, Andrews, has been taken out of production to prepare it to become a multi-purpose factory in 2 years' time. A major scare in South District in St. George this morning after an oil tanker reportedly caught fire around 10:30. The driver had spotted fire coming from one of its rear tires. CBC understands that 2 fire tenders with 8 firefighters from the Barbados Fire Service under the command of Station Officer Gregory Hudson responded to the call. The situation was brought under control without any danger to motorists or residents. Government's consolidation tax seems on track to bring in monies projected in the August budgetary proposals, but Finance Minister Chris Sinclair is concerned about required expenditure cuts across a few ministries. Speaking in the House, he brought the country up to date on the fiscal measures expected to jumpstart the sluggish economy. Mr. Sinclair said if the cuts are not met, there could be a wide shortfall exceeding $20 million over an 18-month period. While stressing that the figures are preliminary, Mr. Sinclair said government would have to intervene if the situation is not corrected.
We've looked at what ministries have been able to give us, where the cuts have been, and our anticipation is that we will be about $25 million short over the 18-month period from what we had projected if we allow the situation to remain as it is. And of course, we are not going to allow the situation to remain as it is because we have to meet our targets to ensure that we get it.
Mr. Sinclair said several initiatives, including the Pierhead Project, the cruise terminal, and the Exmouth housing projects, are expected to come on stream in the next 5 to 6 weeks. He's also optimistic about the upcoming tourist season.
So we know that within the next 5 to 6 weeks, we are going to see activity happening, even behind the context of a seemingly, we keep our fingers crossed, a seemingly reasonable winter season coming up, which seems to have started a little earlier from this year in November, and we're seeing the figures coming in both in terms of arrivals, we're seeing the figures in terms of bookings, and we are cautiously optimistic that that will pan its way out for the entire season.
In his contribution to debate, MP for St. James Central Kerry Simmons wanted to know how soon corrective measures could be brought to the consolidation tax legislation to bring about certainty and clarity. He said the country is not being put on a path to curb expenditure or raise revenue.
I can only say that governance on the matter of expenditure must be, cutting of expenditure must be strategic. We have, sir, to be prepared at some point to come to this chamber and let us speak about the fiscal measures that can be used in order to stimulate the growth. If the Minister of Finance really wants to hear what a Labour Party would do, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the things that we would do would be to try to put in place a framework for taxation that would stimulate growth.
Mr. Simmons also told Parliament that costs in the hotel sector need to be reduced, and he pointed to the 184% bond rate on meats. He suggested this is too high and quoted rates from other CARICOM countries that are much lower. Mr. Simmons believes things can be worked out.
Look, there are things that you can do within the context of making sure that you make sectors which are critical to us more competitive, so that the scarce foreign exchange reserves, which have fallen by over $400 million in 4 months, so that those reserves could be better bolstered.
Health Minister John Boyce says a national effort is needed to steer Barbados to a new economic order. Speaking in Parliament, he called for innovative ways to deal with the crisis confronting Barbados, noting that there's no secret recipe to deal with these problems.
We have got to put all hands to the wheel to make sure that we turn Barbados out of this situation, and that we can steer this ship Barbados in what will be a new economic order, a new world economic order. And this measure, sir, this consolidation tax is just but, as I said, one aspect of this change in terms of implementing the income tax measures.
Mr. Boyce is also sensing a turnaround in the key foreign exchange earning sector of tourism, and he's commended efforts by government to keep the sector afloat.
I want to join in commending the work that is being done in tourism by the Honourable Minister of Tourism and the Ministry of Finance and their teams, their support staff, because as the Minister said, you can already feel that turnaround, that change which is being made, which is being attended to the tourism product. And I am happy for that for Barbados.
Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite also wants the opposition Barbados Labour Party to work with government to help restore this island to a sound economic footing. He made the comments in Parliament as the Chamber debated that amendment to the consolidation tax, noting that pulling down Barbados won't help in any national restoration effort.
We need all of us. We need you. We need all of us in Barbados to recognize that crying down this country does not help us locally, does not help us internationally, does not help us regionally, and indeed will not help you in the long term. Because there's no use destroying this beautiful country of ours for the sake of power.
Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth and MP for Christchurch West Central Stephen Lashley says the measures are aimed at restoring growth to the economy, which has been lackluster. He says they were carefully crafted and designed to reduce suffering among Barbadians, with the aim being to cut expenditure by over $400 million in just over a year and a half.
The tax, Mr. Speaker, has a number of bands in terms of the imposition of the tax. And you could tell, Mr. Speaker, that this tax was not just created and pulled out of a hat. The tax was thought out as a measure to grow revenues, but at the same time, we took all precautionary measures to ensure that the tax does not fall on those who are not in a position to contribute to what I consider to be a call for a national response.
MP for St. George North, Glenn Clark, wants government to stimulate the economy, charging that Barbadians are losing hope in the island. He's contended that as Christmas approaches, government should be pumping money into the economy to engender hope among Barbadians. But he says revenue is down and expenditure remains unchecked while economic growth is not being realized. This as he failed to support the amendment to the consolidation tax, contending that Barbadians are already overtaxed, especially the middle class.
I think the Minister of Finance must tell this country, when are we going to realize any growth? When are we going to realize the growth of this country? What it is that you are going to do to help manufacturing, agriculture, and of course the tourism sector? I am not sure that the measures of introducing more taxes will help.
Former employees of a St. Peter construction company were up in arms this morning, gathering outside the company 3 months after being severed to get answers about their outstanding severance payments. The workers told CBC they've been frustrated in getting the outstanding issues resolved with the company, Premix and Precast Concrete Incorporated, a subsidiary of the Trinidad-based TCL Group. They say they were first severed from the company on August 9th this year.
This is not good enough because we work diligently for Premix and Precast day and night. Sometimes we leave home to get here for 7:30. We don't even know what time we get back home, but we're here. We have family and we work. We put money into premix so we could get money. We are not getting nothing now. All we getting is turning around.
When CBC contacted plant manager Malcolm Smith, he gave assurances that the company is trying its best to resolve the issue. In a statement, Mr. Smith said the company is cognizant of its responsibility to its former employees and mindful and understanding of the difficulties they may be facing given the delay in payment of their termination benefits. He says the company is doing everything possible to ensure payment of all benefits in the shortest possible time. Mr. Smith added that the impact of the deepening recession has had a severe effect on the construction industry in general and the company's business segment in particular. He says this is principally responsible for the delay. He added that the company is working speedily to resolve this issue and that payments will be made on or before December 9th. Some residents of White Hill in St. Andrew are calling for a helping hand. Their concerns follow an incident involving a burst main in the area, which they claim was partially responsible for the backyard of one house slipping into a gully on Monday. The home belonging to the Griffith family, who did not speak on camera, is now in jeopardy as the family had to sleep at nearby relatives on Monday night. The family before says the house has been there for 18 years, and while there has been slippage in the past, it was never so severe. Meanwhile, resident Carlita Andrews was upset about the length of time it took the Barbados Water Authority to respond to a burst main, which she claims is undermining the road. She says water from the main combined with Monday's rainfall made the situation worse.
Then the water was off from Saints. Well, the young ladies said from Thursday, but I experienced it from Saturday, and I keep calling the Water Authority. And I was told that, I know they're on strike, but still, then at the end of the day, when the bill come up, we got to pay double. Because the bill is go up. When we ain't got no water, the bill is go up. And today is Tuesday. And if the houses would never start slipping, we would have never start. If the house, I call them and tell them to come and shut off the main. Because last night when they came down, the buses can't come down anymore. When they came down last night, the water was gushing underneath the young lady's house.
Meanwhile, members of the Griffith family say they would welcome relocation from the area. With 2 neighboring family houses also on the edge of disaster, they're hoping for relief very soon.